Hey, this is Joshua from Everybody's Coffee in Chicago with this week's video dose on brewing with the Clever Brewer. The Clever Brewer is actually a really interesting, clever, if you will, concept. What it is a hybrid brewing method. It's kind of two things at the same time. It is simultaneously a pour over, where you pour the water over the top and then the water slowly goes through the coffee. And it is also a immersion method, which means that the water and the coffee dwell together in there for a period of time before we stop brewing them. The way that that works is it has this little valve in the bottom of it here that when you set it on your cup, that valve opens and the water draws down through the coffee. So it'll dwell for an amount of time under our control, and then it will draw through the coffee. That drawing through usually takes about 45 seconds to a minute, and then you'll be ready to drink your cup of coffee. So what I'm going to do is put the brewer on my scale here. I'm going to take a Melita No. 4 paper filter, really easy to get, Target, wherever, everybody has these. Fold it at the seams and then place it in the brewer. Then, because that's a paper filter, I'm going to take my hot water and I'm going to rinse that paper filter. Notice how no water's coming out the bottom of it. It's because the valve is closed. I rinse that. Just set it on here and my water will drain out. And then I'm going to just tip it up to make sure that no water is left in the chamber. Once I've done that, I can put my coffee in there. I've ground 28 grams of coffee at the same grind as I would use in a drip brewer, a machine brewer. It's a medium grind, and it's pretty easy to find or get coffee that way. Put that right down in here, and then I'll level the grounds so that when I pour the water over it, it makes nice even contact with the coffee and brews it evenly, which is important. Once I've done all that, I can zero my scale so that I'm just going to weigh my water, and I've got a timer that is at 0 and will count up, and I will start my timer and then immediately begin pouring. What I want to do first is just evenly cover all of these grounds, pour about 75 grams of water, and then stop. I'm going to let it bloom. I'm going to let the gases release. And also at this time, I'm going to make sure that all of my coffee is wet. There's no pockets of dry in there. I like using a little whisk to do that, but you can use a spoon to do it as well. At 35 seconds, I'm going to keep pouring. I'm pouring an even spiral, starting in the center and spiraling out to almost the edge. I don't want to go all the way to the edge because I don't want that water to kind of skip the coffee, go through the filter and skip the coffee. Once I spiral out to the outside, I'll spiral back down to the inside. And I'm going for 400 grams of water total. And now I'm going to wait. With this particular coffee, I'm using a Honduras coffee from Metric Roasters here in Chicago. And I've developed a recipe for this where the total brew time before I place it onto the cup is 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Each coffee is going to be a little bit different. That's the one that I've played with and found to be most delicious with this particular coffee. I really do like this brew method because it gives you a tremendous amount of control. Basically, if I'm using a coffee that's ground about the right amount, that drip coffee grind, then I can control how my coffee is tasting simply by how long I wait before I place it onto the cup. That's really nice. It's really a simple thing to be able to control it by doing that. So when we get to 2 minutes and 40 seconds here, about 10 seconds before I set it on the cup, because I want to do that at 250, 2 minutes and 40 seconds is when I want to just break the surface of the coffee here so that it starts to cool a little bit faster, and also so that any floating coffee grounds drop down into the brew bed so that all the water flows through all the coffee. Depending on your coffee, this can take anywhere from 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute. This coffee takes about 45 seconds to draw down, and when it's done drawing down, we'll be ready to drink coffee. As you watch it go down, you can actually evaluate how good of a job you've done pouring, because if you have been kind of sloppy, you'll see a lot of grounds stuck to the side of the filter, and that's not ideal because those stop brewing sooner because they're left out of the water. And also when it gets down to the very bottom, if you look at that, if your bed is pretty level, you know that you poured evenly and that your coffee and water will have even amounts of contact. Whereas if it's really wavy or mounded or weird shaped, you probably should work on your pour to get that to be nice and even. Ding ding, coffee time. And now we get to enjoy it. Yeah, that's good coffee. Thanks for watching Video Dose. I hope this has been helpful to you in your own home brewing, whether that be with the Clever or any other device. Let us know what things have worked for you or what things have been difficult for you with home brewing on whatever device you use in the comments section below, and we'll respond to those. See you next week.